off the cover price. Call today, and you'll also get free Inc. Magazine's Guide to Small Business Success, packed with more than 100 proven techniques to help your business grow. From a step-by-step guide on valuing your company to handy checklists on 18 ways to cut legal costs, a dozen ways to borrow money, 9 ways to save a troubled company, and more. So call today. There's no risk. If you're not completely satisfied with Inc. at any time, just cancel for a full refund. 800-445-4300. Toll free, 800-445-4300. Take advantage of this trial subscription offer at just $18 and look forward to 12 monthly issues of Inc., including these 2 big special issues on America's fastest growing companies. And Inc.'s Guide to Small Business Success is yours free. 800-445-4300. Call now. Toll free, 800-445-4300.
Channel 19 in Columbia, WLTX.
It's time now to visit the wonderful world of the great outdoors with the Southern Sportsman, Frank White. Brought to you in part by House Autry, proven cornmeal and flour products. By the Southern Sportsman Game and Seafood Restaurant, the best food from field and ocean. And by Long Haul Jeans, the most comfortable jeans you will ever wear.
Today we will hunt for layout snow geese in Maryland, shoot diving ducks on the eastern shore of Virginia, and cook Frank's duck fillets in the kitchen. Show's all about waterfowl here today, and I'm going to cook some, my grease is just about right. I'm going to cook some duck breast here for you. Filet duck breast, and this is my own recipe now. I sort of adapted the first part of it from a recipe I already had when we charcoal outside on the grill, but I don't always like to go out on the grill. Sometimes it's raining and it's messy out on the back porch, and I don't want to go out in the yard and start the charcoal and all that sort of stuff. So I put together this little recipe for duck breast. Now, ducks vary according to the age of the duck, as to how tasty they are, and also the kind of duck. Some ducks eat more vegetable matter and little shoots and things like that, acorns and so forth, than other ducks do. On the other hand, a lot of other ducks might eat minnows and oysters and things like that, and they'll have a stronger taste to them. So this recipe is adaptable. What I happen to have here is one of the best eating ducks of all. I've got redhead breasts here, and what I did was just take a knife, and I'm going to do this later. I thought about it when I was doing it at home, filleting the redheads that we shot up in Virginia, that we're going to show you a little later on today's show. But I thought about it. I wish I'd had somebody there to take a picture while I was filleting a duck breast. I've done it with fish, but I never have done it with ducks. But I'm going to do it later. I'm going back hunting in a few days, and so if we get a duck or two, I'll show you a little bit later. But what you do is you peel the feathers off the breast, and then I like to cut right up the center of the breast where the breastbone is, and take a knife and fillet that red dark meat off of each side of the breastbone and take it out. Now save the wings and the legs. You can parboil them and marinate them like I'm going to show you. I'm going to marinate right here now. And then you can charcoal them, and they're fine. But they need to be parboiled, the legs and the wings. But the breast, you don't need anything done to. Now, here's what a filleted breast looks like. It's about like a small filet mignon, somewhere like that. Very tender. See how that is? That's one half of a redhead duck breast, and that's the other half. And I'm going to put them in a little jar here, not a bottle, but a jar, and pour a little burgundy wine on them. And the proportion that you want for burgundy wine and soy sauce is about 3 or 4 parts of wine for 1 part of soy sauce. Just sprinkle a little soy sauce in there, like this, and chop up a clove of garlic. Now, with duck breasts like this, canvasback, Canada goose, unless it's a very old, tough old goose, but a young goose, redhead like this, a mallard, wood duck, any kind of duck that you know is going to taste good, about an hour or 2 in the refrigerator is all you need. Now, if this was a sea duck, a merganser, a coot, I'm talking about the old mud hen, chicken bill coot, you can do them the same way, but I'd give them about 48 hours in the refrigerator. Let them get a chance to work that gamey taste out of them in this wine and soy sauce and garlic. Well, I'm not going to stand here 2 hours, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to the refrigerator, where just by coincidence, I have a couple that were already in there. Okay, Now, at this point, you could go to the grill. If you had your coals outside your charcoal grill and it was all fired up and ready to go, you could go out and just grill these breasts right on the grill just like that. But I'm going to show you the way I do it at home when I don't want to go outdoors and I want to do it in the kitchen. Now, I've got a shaker bag of seasoned flour over here. And in the shaker bag, seasoned flour, of course, there's nothing in the world but flour that has salt and pepper in it, and any other spices that you might want to add. But for a meat like this, all you need is the salt and pepper in there. We shake them up like this, and I've got hot grease going over here, about a 1/4 inch of hot grease. And what I'm going to do is just fry this on each side until it's medium rare. And that's the way I like mine. Now, you cook duck breasts and goose breasts just like you would cook beef at home. If this was a ribeye steak, a T-bone steak, a filet, or anything else that you'd be cooking, that's the way you would do it. But I like to cook it until the juice comes through, the blood begins to come through on one side. That takes about 3 or 4 minutes. Then you flip it over and do it about another 2 or 3 minutes, and you've got it medium rare. Well, this has got to cook a while, obviously, and so what we're going to do in the interest of time is we're going to take a break right now, and I'll be back after these very important messages.
Nothing to do? You're bored and you're blue? Hey, look inside that TV guide. There's something wonderful, wonderful waiting just for you.
You'll find something wonderful waiting for you, too, inside each and every issue of TV Guide. TV Guide opens the door to a whole week's worth of viewing pleasure, to the great shows, the great games, the great movies everyone will be talking about tomorrow.
So don't miss out. Right now, call and get TV Guide delivered to your home each week at a money-saving subscription price with 3 full months to pay.
Yes, if you call now, you can get 30 exciting issues of TV Guide in 3 easy monthly payments of just $5.75 each. That's the lowest price going.
Then each week, you too can enjoy lively coverage of the TV scene and the TV screen, thanks to exclusive interviews, features, and special reports you'll find only in TV Guide.
You'll enjoy the news, the views, the gossip, and the games. But most of all, you'll appreciate how TV Guide helps you help yourself to the best that television has to offer on local, network, cable, and pay TV.
With fact-packed program listings, highlights and close-ups, and quick-scan program guides, plus special calendars for sports fans, and a catalog of movies on pay TV.
So right now, call 800-345-6789. Toll free, 800-345-6789. Enjoy the luxury of having 30 weeks of TV Guide home delivered and the convenience of paying in 3 low monthly installments of just $5.75 each.
That's the lowest price going.
800-345-6789. Send no money, you'll be billed later, but call today. 800-345-6789. TV Guide pays for the call. 800-345-6789.
Call today.
No matter what I cook, if it's red meat, when I'm cooking it at home, and I cook steak like this quite often, I'll just, fry it in a frying pan, but not floured necessarily. But I only like to turn it one time. Now, you'll notice the juice is just beginning to come through. It's coming through right here and right over here over the side. Let me turn that around. That means it's beginning to cook dry somewhere along the bottom. If you leave it there long enough, it'll drive every drop of juice in there out of it, and you don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is flip it one time and then let it cook. I'm going to slow it down because I don't want it to cook normally at home about 3 minutes, but I've got about 5 or 6 minutes of a piece of film that I want to show you here. I just got back from what I would only describe as a splendid trip to the Delmarva Peninsula. I hunted in Maryland, Delaware, and Virginia, all on that Delmarva or that Eastern Shore area up there, geese and ducks in all 3 of those states. And one of the places that I went to while I was up there was around Centerville, Maryland. I was invited to a new lodge that has just been built up there where they furnish all accommodations. They furnish room and board, guide, and everything all in one package. And to my knowledge, there are only 3 places like that up on the Maryland shore. that does that. The rest of the places you go to the motels, and then you go out and meet your guide in the morning, and you go back to the motel at night. But this is a kind of a club kind of a thing called Twin Ponds. I was invited to go up there, and they have Canada goose, they have quail, duck, deer, but they also have snow geese. And they hunt snow geese in a way I have never hunted before. It's called a layout rig that they hunt with. They start with somewhere between 900 and 1,200 decoys. The spread I'm going to show you on the film that we've got for you right now has about 1,000 decoys in it. Now we're going to start at the clubhouse itself. This is Joe Judge, the director of it, the owner of it, and he's got 3 Gordon Setter puppies that I think are absolutely beautiful. This is McGregor, the biggest one, and there's 2 others, Foster and JR. And you don't see many Gordons anymore. They're great, great hunting dogs. They're kind of like the dog I had, who was red, Fracas, who's now dead. But Fracas was a marvelous hunting dog, but a little hard to see in the woods, and the Gordons have become unpopular more or less for that same reason. But like the hunting breed of Irish Setter, they're making a comeback. Now, that's the lodge that you see there in the background, and this is a guy that I got to be one of my best friends. His name is Coffee. He's a Labrador Retriever. He also belongs to Joe, and you're going to see more of Coffee in a little bit in this layout blind. But I was very much taken with these Gordons. They're beautiful dogs, and Joe raises them and trains them up there and hunts quail with them on his farms that he has up there. Some farms, acreage he owns, and other he leases. But this is a look at the clubhouse, and I thought if you're sort of interested in this, you might want to see it. That's a Kodiak bear that somebody, I guess Joe or somebody shot. I didn't ask who shot that bear, but it's a nice big brown bear over the bar there. And this lodge is built just a year ago. It's just getting going and really gaining in popularity up there, this kind of deal. Now, this is early morning. As you can see, the light's a little dim here, and this is the snow goose spread that we had. There's 1,000 decoys, more or less. We didn't even count them. They don't know exactly how many. A lot of them are body decoys. Now, this is Don Moore, a good friend of mine from Seaford, Delaware. He owns Delaware Sporting Gallery. This is Joe Judge. The guide is Kenny Council, and our other shooter was a young lady named Donna Davenport from Washington, D.C., who's a friend of Joe's. But this is what a layout is. You lay out. You lay down on a waterproof canvas sheet, and they put burlap over you, and then they cover you up with hay. And you're laying right in the middle of all of these decoys. And as I started to say, about 300 of them are full-body decoys and silhouette decoys, and the rest of them are just rags. They're like napkins. There's Coffee, and Coffee was saying, if I got to get down there too, and Joe was saying, yeah, you got to get down too. So you're going to see this dog, he gets all the hay and lays there absolutely still until you shoot. But look at the decoys. Now, they're laid out into the wind in the form of an arrowhead with the point into the wind, and there's a hole, kind of like a notched out arrowhead or like a heart. Think of a heart that's turned upside down. Well, that little harbor or little entrance there's old Coffee. But that little open end of the heart is where you lay down, because that's where the birds will come to. You've got to lay these things out right, and you got to lay them into the wind. And then what you do, this was a very foggy morning, and the birds were flying high. They were a little spooky because of the fog. But snow geese fly in big, big bunches. They fly 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 at a time. And the first bunch that came close to us came in, and I didn't know which bird they were going to shoot. They raised up. A couple of them got tangled up in their guns, but somebody hit this goose. Nobody was quite sure. Coffee went and got him, but this is a snow goose. Now, snow goose can stand the treatment that I'm giving the canvasback ducks here, and if it's a snow goose that, like these, had been feeding on grain, it tastes just as good or better than a Canada goose. Kenny Council, our guide, is out here a little changed around. See these rags? And they wave in the wind, but just kind of like towels or napkins thrown down on the ground. They had bags and bags. They had one pickup truck that was just loaded down with bags of nothing but rags that they use for these decoy spreads. But you'll notice that there are full body and silhouettes in there also. And these geese come in, swans fly over, Canada geese, but we were snow goose hunting but they didn't like the fog. And that one bunch came in, and we got a shot and killed one, but then the sun began to burn through about the middle of the day. And Don Moore, that you see here in the foreground, he had to go back to Seaford. He just opened a gallery over there. There's some swans flying behind one of the silhouettes where I was lying. The air cleared up, and I want to show you something that to me is one of the most spectacular sights that I think I ever saw. 2,000 snow geese came right over my head and right into view, and Donna and Joe raised up and shot one apiece. Don had left us to go back to Seaford, and Kenny had gone off to find out where the snow geese were because they weren't flying, and so there were just the two of them in the blind. They raised up and shot a goose apiece. But this is called layout goose hunting, and it's called layout appropriately enough because what you do is you lay down on the ground and cover yourself with hay. And on a warm, sunshiny day, it was about 70 degrees on this day. In fact, I thought we were lucky that the geese flew at all. On a warm day like this, the main thing you got to worry about is not going to sleep, because you will go to sleep, and then you're in trouble. The geese will fly over you. This was an immature, young, and that's the best eating, the most tenderest, because they're grayer. And Coffee's got his here, and he said, "This is my goose, and you can't have it. I'm going to guard it." Handsome dog. We had a good time. We stayed up there 2 days. That's Twin Ponds Duck Club at Centerville, Maryland. If you're interested, the zip is 21617, and the operator will give you the phone number. It's area code 301 in Maryland. Please don't call me. Call them, because I don't have the information, the brochures, and everything else. But you can book reservations up there, and they're already booking reservations for next year. So if you're interested in going up there, but it's really a luxurious lodge, and you go out in the morning, and if the weather is favorable at all, you're going to get your limit of geese, because Maryland has geese like Delaware. They have plenty of geese, and you can get your limit, and in the afternoon you can go quail hunting or dove hunting if the season's in, deer hunting, whatever else you want to do. But I enjoyed going up there very much. It's very comfortable. The food is tops. It's super. Okay, I'm back here to my duck, and you'll notice I've turned it down a little bit, the heat, but these are going to be medium rare because the juice is coming through. Now, what I'm going to do is make a gravy, and a lot of people don't know how to make a gravy, and so I'm going to show you how to make a gravy. The first thing I do is put a little bit of salt and pepper in my oil to taste, like this. And I like to do the mushrooms first. I love mushrooms, and the recipe that he showed you, and we'll show you again before this is over, you need, it calls for mushrooms, and I like lots of nice, fresh sliced mushrooms. So what I do now is just saute them very quickly, and I'm going to show you how I make a gravy, and I'm going to make a milk gravy, which is a very thick, creamy sort of a gravy. And I'm trying to hurry here because I got more film I want to show you a little bit later. But it doesn't take much, just a few seconds to saute the mushrooms because they go cook longer anyway. Okay, now you remember the shaker bag I had. I still use the flour out of the shaker bag. Don't throw the shaker bag away. Shake a little of the flour out of the shaker bag. It's already seasoned with salt and pepper. Into the frying pan like this, and throw the heat to it and stir the flour around. Now, if you cook it until it turns brown, you're going to have a brown gravy. If you start about where I've got it now, or maybe in just a few seconds, and leave it white, you're going to have a white gravy. And I like kind of a tan gravy. So what I'm going to do is right here, right about now, it's getting close. Move my mushrooms back in there. Move them around like this. That's getting to be my gravy. Okay, and when that cooks down just a little bit, I add just a little milk to cream it off, make it thick and heavy. Come on, heat. I'm trying to do this and show you. A lot of people say, how do you make gravy? Well, I'm lucky the way my gravy comes out. I don't know what it is, but I've been awful lucky with it. Okay, my gravy has thickened up. Now I'm going to put my duck breasts back in there like this, and spoon the gravy over the top, turn them around in there, and put the lid on and just let them simmer. Now, they're ready now if you like them medium rare, and they're still warm. You can eat them just like that. But if you want to cook them a little bit longer, if you don't like your duck breast as rare as I do, then you could cook it to whatever pinkness that you want, and it'll still stay more or less tender. Don't cook them until they're just totally dried out. But that's my recipe for right on top of the stove duck breast. I want to take you duck hunting down on the eastern shore of Virginia, and I'm going to do that in just a minute after these very important messages. I'd like to introduce you to another fine product from House Archery, their versatile chicken fry mix in the blue and orange box. With House Archery chicken fry mix, you can fry all kinds of foods like this quail or chicken, chopped steak, or how about these fried vegetables and onion rings? And it's a great gravy mix, but that's not all. House Archery chicken fry mix is a perfect coating for baking pork chops, veal, or chicken. House Archery chicken fry mix for frying or baking from the fine folks of House Archery Mills, Newton Grove, North Carolina.
Sneaky Snake, the live-action salt flavor worm, is the hottest bass-busting lure on the market. The folks at Seeker Lure make you this fantastic get-acquainted offer. We'll send you an assortment of 60 Sneaky Snakes and 140 tournament-tested worms and 100 red-hot crappie jigs and 40 Franc trailers and 20 of the newest in lures, the Shining Shad, for the unbelievable low price of $23.95. That's a $60 value for $23.95. Call toll-free or send your check or money order to Sneaky Snake, Post Office Box 710, Mountain Home, North Carolina 28758.
One of our most popular dishes at the Southern Sportsman Game and Seafood restaurants is the sweet and sour duck, a very special recipe. The same goes for our frog legs. We cook them different. And Frank's fried shrimp, marinated in cognac, fried in a beer batter, served with a special sauce. Wow. In fact, you could say that about all 25 game and seafood recipes on the Southern Sportsman menu, as well as the specials we serve from time to time, like this country-style buffalo steak and venison stew. Or how about this grilled swordfish steak? In summer, we often can get fresh eel to serve you, and such delicacies as soft-shell crab and turtle soup. Our most frequent comment is that we don't charge enough. Well, our philosophy at the Southern Sportsman Game and Seafood Restaurant is to serve the best game and fish that we can at a fair profit. That's better than high prices for mediocre food you get most places, right? So do this. If you've had one of our fine meals and think you have not paid enough, please give the difference to your favorite charity with our compliments, okay? Some of my best stories are where people just call me up in the night and say, I've got this, and come see me. And so when Wilson Glen called me from up on the eastern shore of Virginia, up near Saxis, Virginia, not too far from the town of Pocomoke, actually Saxis is almost in Maryland, he called me and says, come hunt with my dad and myself. This is Wilson Glen Sr., Wilson Glen Jr., who is driving the motor, and you'll see again here in a minute. They're both in the seafood business. They're among the biggest producers of soft-shell crab on Chesapeake Bay. But in the wintertime, Wilson guides. He loves waterfowl hunting. He doesn't do it for the money. He does it because he just loves to waterfowl hunt. And when he goes hunting, he's got a gun and a duck stamp and a license and everything, and he'll shoot and enjoy himself. Now, this is a typical cedar tree brush blind that is so common along this part of the Chesapeake Bay. We're on the Delmarva Peninsula. We're on the eastern shore, but we're on the bay side. We're not out on the ocean side. This is back opposite from Chincoteague. Chincoteague is over on the ocean. Saxis is about equal to it. It's a village on Saxis Island, and we're not far from Maryland here. As I say, by air, we're maybe 4 or 5 miles. But this is diving duck country. This is redheads, broadbills, canvasbacks, buffleheads. This is saltwater diving sort of ducks. And we've got about 60 decoys out here. We've got some redhead decoys, some scallop decoys, and some canvasbacks. And these guys are quick on the trigger. They're quicker on the trigger than I am on the draw of the camera until I get used to them. The first bird was a broadbill. A lot of you guys call them scallop. These are the decoys, and we're going back into the blind. No dog here. This is big water and fast current water and rough water, and you retrieve by boat here. And then when you have gotten the birds, you just run back into the blind and hunker down. Now, the tide will take you up, and when it does, you have to hunker down more. On the other hand, when the tide is low, as it was right here real early in the morning, when the tide is low, you drop on down. These guys are good shots, and these birds were coming in bunches, and they were knocking them down, and I said, hey, slow down. We're going to have the limit before I get all the film that I need. And I said, try not to shoot them so much in bunches. Well, they would come in, the birds would come in, and they would sit down. They would buzz the blind and where you'd normally shoot them, but they'd be big bunches, we didn't want to shoot them, and they would sit down outside the decoys. And of course, they would toll other ducks coming in. So a time or two here, you're going to see them shoot just to scare the birds away. 30 or 40 birds would light on the outside, not this guy. This guy met a load of lead there. But a time or two, the birds would sit down outside our decoy spread and too far out of range, and we'd get up and shoot to run them out. Wilson Glen Sr. here shooting with his son. They hunt together just like I hunt with my papa when I can, but they're a little more fortunate. They live in the same village and have the same business. As I say, they're in the soft shell crab business. They raise soft crabs and sell them all over the area, Philadelphia, Baltimore, all up through there. They ship them all over the country. When bunches like this came in, big bunches, I couldn't tell which bird they were going to shoot at, and what I wanted, of course, when you're filming, is some pictures of some birds falling. So the birds would come in, and they'd shoot, and then the birds would get up and fly out, and then a little bit later, 2 or 3 of them would come back so I could get pictures of them. This is classic Chesapeake Bay gunning. This is the Eastern Shore, Delmarva Peninsula. There's 2 that didn't make it. They came buzzing in, and I happened to be on both of them. My favorite sport, duck hunting. And the hunters are the reason we have ducks in this country, and nobody else. The hunters put up the money. It's the duck stamp, the contributions to Ducks Unlimited that have bought habitat in Canada and Mexico and other places in the country, and the duck stamp money and the license money. And we who love the duck hunting are the guys who are responsible for us having any ducks at all. If it weren't for us, there'd be very, very, very few ducks around. Now, if you want to get a hold of Wilson and hunt with him, he does guide. His name is Wilson Glen Jr. He lives in Saxis, Virginia. The area code is 804. And ask the operator to give you the number. It's too late this year, but you might want to book him for next year because he's taking bookings now. I'll be back here in a minute with a final word after this. I feel comfortable outdoors, especially when I'm wearing my long-haul jeans. Not only are long-haul jeans practical, they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. Long-haul jeans are cut bigger in the seat and the thighs, and they're made from stretch denim, so they look good and feel good, even when I stretch, bend, or sit. And that's important because it looks like I'm going to be sitting here quite a while.
Long-haul jeans, the most comfortable jeans you'll ever wear.
Young for junior achievement.
At Hewlett-Packard, we may be big, but we know the value that a single individual can have to an entire corporation. In fact, individuals like Alexander Graham Bell or Henry Ford or Thomas Edison even changed the world.
Everyone also knows that one individual can affect the destiny of a whole team. But did you ever stop to think of the influence an individual like you can have on a young person's life? Influencing and helping young people are reasons why we belong to Junior Achievement. And you should too.
Junior Achievement is a way for successful business people and teachers using a little of their time and a lot of their experience to show young people the marvelous opportunities that exist in the world of business. You might say that Junior Achievement is a growth opportunity that pays dividends far more valuable than money.
Remember, one person can make a difference, and that one person can be you.
Junior Achievement. Show a kid how America works.
Well, I'm all ready to go down to the boutique to see about that job. I got up real early and did